Hey friends, Mr. Spitzer here for Fantasy Writing Lesson 2. As I said before, each one of our lessons is going to take 2 days to do. So, while this is our third day of fantasy writing, it is only our lesson 2. And lesson 2 is about creating realistic characters while writing about fantasy. So, to start, what I want to make us do is we're on Google. I want to show everyone where they're logging into because we'll be using two different platforms now. The first will be in Google Classroom, where hopefully you'll be watching this video and seeing your assignments for the day. The next thing you'll need to be going into is Google Documents. So I want to show you how to do that. So you're on this Google page, you're signed in under your Wagner email account. Again, this is Jane Doe, this is our fake student. And what I'm going to do is click on this button. It looks like kind of a waffle maybe. You're going to click on that and you're going to see all these applications. You want to go into your Google Documents because that is where your digital notebook would be. Now, you can see all the documents that this student has. I want to go into my digital notebook and I'm just going to click on it and it opens up our digital notebook. So we've already read these directions before. We want to go to our table of contents. And as I said, today is lesson 2. It's about creating fantasy characters or characters in our story. So we can click on the bookmark link and it's going to bring us down into lesson 2. So the first thing we need to do every single day when we start is we're going to type in our name, the date, and the section or the class that we're in. And then we're going to answer this do now question here. It says, what makes a character in a story sound real? So when you're reading about a character in a fantasy story, what does the author do to make you believe that character could be real? I want you to write your answer now. So our lesson 2 is about fantasy characters and writing and creating a character that sounds real. And the teaching point says that writers can collect ideas for fantasy stories by thinking about characters. The best characters need to feel real with flaws and weaknesses, as well as strengths and motivations. If we created a character that didn't have any problems or anything wrong with them or like little weaknesses or insecurities, they wouldn't sound like a real person. So as an author, we need to think about all of the parts of our character. Their strengths, what they're good at, their flaws, what they might not be so good at, their behavior, what they do or say, and their motivations, what the character wants and why they do this. So we have a couple supports for the day. The first one is an anchor chart to help you with traits and flaws and motivations. If I click on this link here, it is going to give us examples of strengths that we might want to choose for our character, examples of flaws, and examples of motivations. So this anchor chart, you can choose any of these that you want to use, and you can put them right in your document. So I'm going to close this because I would like to think that I already know a bunch of different examples of strengths, flaws, and motivations. So I'm going to close this and look at the next thing that I need to do. So it says here, my fantasy story main character. So this is the story that I'm creating myself, the one I'm making up. So I need to think of what strengths my main character is going to have, what flaws or weaknesses they might have, their behavior and their motivations. And I'm going to type in their strengths here where this little emoji is. I'm going to type in the flaws or weaknesses that they have here. I want to type in the behaviors, how my pretend character is going to act or what they're going to do or say here, and motivations. Again, if I need help with this, I can click on the anchor chart here. The next thing is it says click here for a website that helps you come up with flaws. It's easy to come up with positive traits. Sometimes it's difficult when we have this imaginary character in our mind to think of the negative things about that character, because since they're our main character, we want to like them. So if we click on this link here, it's going to bring us to another generator. And if we come up and click this, it says Flossify. They're coming up with weaknesses or flaws for our character, and it will create flaws for our character. So it says your character is arrogant, gullible, and short-tempered. Ugh, those are some not so likable traits. every time we click this, it's going to come up with character flaws or weaknesses. It says like one was like moody, maybe manipulative. We can use any of these flaws inside of our document. So if you need help with coming up with flaws or weaknesses, that's going to be really useful to you. After you fill out this first section here, there's 4 boxes: strengths, flaws, behaviors, and motivations. The next thing says directions. Write about your main character. A fancy word for main character is protagonist. So write about the protagonist in the entry below. Describe their strengths, flaws, behaviors, and motivations. So in this box here, what I want you to do is use as many details as you can think of, including the strengths, flaws, behaviors, and motivations that you just brainstormed, to describe the main character that's going to be in your fantasy story that you're creating. Your main character can be a human, your main character could be an animal, maybe it's a monster or a creature, but I want you to use your descriptive words and the traits that you've identified that your character has to describe them in the best way possible. Make sure you're using complete sentences. Here it says end here, and we would be done for the lesson today. Now, a couple things with this. Up here it says share and turn in. I already have access to every single person's writing remote learning digital notebook. You do not need to reshare it with me every day. I can actually just pop in and see your work and provide feedback and comments for you. One thing with turn it in, I do not want you to turn it in every day, because when you click turn it in, you will not be able to edit the document until I send it back to you. So since I already have access to your document, you do not need to do anything else for the day. Everything on your Google Docs automatically saves, so you will be good to go. If you have any questions about creating your character, about character traits, strengths, flaws, behaviors, or motivations, please join my office hours so that we can talk and help create the best character for your fantasy story. Or if you want to just stop in to say hi, I had many friends in all of my classes just coming in to chat. So I look forward to seeing everyone. I hope you enjoy fantasy lesson 2 about creating characters, and I will talk to you all soon. Take care.